Have you ever noticed how the richest people in the world somehow come out of every economic disaster even wealthier than before? Think back to the 2008 financial crisis, when families lost homes, jobs disappeared, and chaos ruled the markets. Billionaires were quietly buying real estate for pennies on the dollar. Fast forward to the 2020 pandemic. While millions were struggling to pay rent, the wealthiest individuals were adding billions to their net worth. It almost feels unfair, doesn't it? Like the entire game is rigged in their favor. But here's the truth. It's not rigged the way you think. The wealthy aren't getting richer because they're lucky or cheating the system. They understand something that most people don't, something crucial about how recessions actually work. And the craziest part? You can use the exact same strategies they do. This is Mike Compound, where we break down how money really works. Not the fantasy version that social media shows you, but the real, sometimes uncomfortable version that actually creates wealth. Today, we're uncovering why recessions are secretly the greatest opportunities to build wealth in your lifetime, and how most of what you've been taught about surviving tough economic times might actually be holding you back. So let's start with the first reaction most people have when they hear the word recession. Panic. Fear. The instinct to protect what's yours. People hunker down, stop spending, stop investing, and just wait for things to go back to normal. On the surface, that makes sense. When times are tough, you save every penny, avoid risks, and focus on survival. That's what nearly everyone does. But that's also exactly why most people stay broke. When the average person hears recession, they think loss. Lost jobs, lost savings, lost stability. But the wealthy see something completely different. They see a sale. Think about it. Imagine your favorite store announcing a 70% off clearance event. Designer clothes, electronics, furniture, all suddenly affordable. Would you say, "Oh no, that store's in trouble. I shouldn't buy anything"? Of course not. You'd rush to get the best deals before anyone else. Now apply that same logic to the economy. When stocks crash, real estate prices fall, and strong businesses are suddenly selling for half their true value. What do most people do? They panic and run away. Meanwhile, the wealthy, the ones who understand the game, run toward it, wallets open and ready. This isn't just about having money to invest. Many rich people have lost fortunes during downturns too. The difference is mindset. The wealthy see opportunity where others see disaster. They understand that real wealth isn't built when times are easy. It's built when times are hard. The first principle you need to understand is what I call the crisis discount. During normal economic times, everything is priced at or even above its real value. Housing markets get competitive. Stocks trade at high valuations. Businesses sell for premium prices because everyone's chasing the same assets. Prices rise when optimism is high. But when a recession hits, logic takes a back seat. Fear drives everything. People start selling assets not because they want to, but because they need to. They're desperate for cash. They sell their homes, their investments, even solid businesses for far less than they're worth. A house that was valued at $500,000 a few months ago might sell for $300,000, not because the property changed, but because the seller panicked and buyers got scared. A company with great products and strong cash flow might see its stock drop 60%, not because it suddenly became worthless, but because investors can't handle the uncertainty. This is the crisis discount, and it's one of the biggest mechanisms for transferring wealth in modern capitalism. Take Amazon as an example. In 2001, its stock fell from over $100 per share to just $6. $6. The business was still Amazon. Same products, same leadership, same vision to dominate e-commerce, but fear took over. Investors dumped their shares, terrified of losing more. The ones who recognized the crisis discount and bought in during the fear, they became millionaires. And that's where the opportunity lies for you. You don't have to be rich to take advantage of this principle. You just have to understand it. When the world is panicking, when everyone's selling in chaos, that's when wealth quietly changes hands. The wealthy don't see recession as danger. They see it as clearance season for assets. Your job is to start seeing it that way too. Because the moment you stop viewing recessions as storms to survive and start seeing them as windows of opportunity, you stop being the victim of the economy and start playing the same game the wealthy have mastered for decades. Now that you understand the crisis discount, let's move on to the second principle that separates the wealthy from everyone else, the liquidity advantage. This one is simple, yet incredibly powerful. Liquidity means having cash available, real money you can use right now, not locked away in investments or tied up in assets you can't sell quickly. During the good times, most people hate holding cash. Why would they? Savings accounts pay almost nothing. The stock market is booming. Real estate keeps rising, and everyone's talking about how much their portfolio is growing. Holding cash feels like being left behind. So people go all in. Every dollar gets invested into stocks, crypto, property, you name it. On paper, it looks smart. You're maximizing your returns, right? Until the economy turns. Suddenly, those investments that looked unstoppable are worth half of what they used to be. Maybe you lose your job. Maybe an emergency hits. And now, you need money. Not someday, but right now. What happens next? You're forced to sell your investments at the worst possible time. When prices are down, fear is high, and the market is bleeding. You lock in your losses, and the opportunity to recover disappears. Meanwhile, the wealthy? They've been waiting for this moment. They've been holding cash, not because they're lazy or afraid, but because they understand that liquidity is power. When the recession hits and everything goes on sale, they don't need to sell anything. They're buyers, not victims. They have the luxury of choice. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine two people. Both have $50,000 in 2007. The first person, excited by the booming stock market, invests everything. No safety cushion, no emergency fund, just pure confidence. Then 2008 hits. Their $50,000 portfolio drops to $25,000. They panic. Expenses pile up. They need cash, so they sell their investments at rock-bottom prices. The second person, though, takes a different approach. They invest $30,000 and keep $20,000 in cash. When the market crashes, their investments also fall in value, from $30 million to $15,000. But here's the difference. They don't have to sell. They're not desperate. In fact, they can use some of their cash to buy more stocks at a discount. A year or two later, when the market recovers, their portfolio not only rebounds, but grows even faster because they bought at the bottom. Same starting amount, completely different outcomes. The difference isn't intelligence or luck, it's liquidity. The ability to act when everyone else is paralyzed. The uncomfortable truth is this. The financial system is built to move wealth from those who need money now to those who can afford to wait. And recessions are when this transfer happens fastest. When people panic and sell, the calm and liquid scoop up their assets for cheap. This is what the wealthy understand at their core, that cash isn't just money sitting still. It's stored opportunity. Yes, it may not grow much when times are good, but it buys freedom when times are bad. It gives you the ability to make moves when others can't. Let's take it further. Liquidity isn't only about cash, it's also about emotional stability. The wealthy don't just prepare their bank accounts, they prepare their mindset. Because when chaos hits, your emotions become your biggest enemy. Fear makes people liquidate too early. Greed makes them overextend too late. True liquidity is being able to stay calm enough to wait, to do nothing when everyone else is doing too much. And that's where regular people can start leveling the playing field. You might not have millions sitting in cash, but you can build your own version of liquidity. An emergency fund, a flexible investment plan, a bit of dry powder ready for opportunity. Even a few $1,000s can make a huge difference when the market goes on sale. Think about it this way. Every crisis gives birth to a new generation of wealthy individuals. The people who had cash ready during 2008 bought homes, stocks, and businesses for half price. The people who had cash in 2020 made life-changing investments while everyone else was frozen in fear. It's not magic, it's math and patience combined. Recessions are not punishments, they're stress tests. They reveal who was overleveraged, who was reckless, and who was prepared. The rich use them to clean up, to buy what others are forced to sell, to expand their empires while everyone else is shrinking. So the next time you hear the word recession, don't just think about survival. Think about positioning. Ask yourself, how much optionality do I have? How much flexibility? Because in a downturn, wealth flows to those who can stay calm, stay patient, and stay liquid. The poor ask, how do I survive this? The wealthy ask, what can I buy from this? That single shift in mindset is the difference between fear and fortune. Now let's talk about the third principle, one that most people completely overlook until it's too late. I call it income insurance. And no, it's not a policy you can buy. It's a structure you build. Most people have a single income stream, their job. They trade time for money, hour by hour, paycheck by paycheck. It's comfortable when things are stable, but the moment that single stream dries up, when layoffs start, when businesses close, when recessions hit, panic sets in. Because when that one flow of money stops, life stops with it. But the wealthy? They build income insurance. They create multiple income streams that keep flowing no matter what happens. Some from real estate, some from dividend-paying stocks, others from businesses, royalties, or side investments. It's not about luck or inheritance. It's about structure. They've built a financial system that continues to work even when they can't. Let me paint you a picture. Marcus is a talented software engineer earning $120,000 a year. He's smart, hardworking, and lives comfortably. But that salary, that one job, is his entire financial foundation. Every bill, every plan, every dream depends on it. When the 2020 pandemic hits, his company starts layoffs. Marcus is on the list. Suddenly, that single source of income disappears overnight. He's got maybe 3 months of savings. His investments are down 40%, so selling them feels like throwing away future gains. His rent is due. His anxiety spikes. He scrambles to find a new job, any job, even at lower pay. He's no longer negotiating from strength. He's negotiating from desperation. He doesn't care about benefits or passion anymore. He just needs cash to survive. Now let's look at Jennifer. Same profession, same $120,000 salary. But for the past 5 years, she's been building her safety net, not just by saving, but by creating income insurance. She bought a small rental property that nets her $1,000 a month after expenses. She invested in dividend stocks that pay her another $800 each month. When the layoffs hit, Jennifer also loses her job. But her situation is completely different. Her rent checks are still coming in. Her dividends still show up in her account. It's not enough to fully replace her salary, but it buys her time. Time to breathe. Time to make smart decisions. She doesn't rush into the first job that calls her. She negotiates. She can afford to wait for something better. And while others are panicking, she notices real estate prices dropping. So she uses her savings to buy a second rental property at a 30% discount. 2 years later, she's back to full employment and wealthier than ever. Marcus and Jennifer started at the same place. Same salary, same skills, same timeline. The difference wasn't talent, it was preparation. Income insurance isn't just about money, it's about freedom. It's about not being trapped by your next paycheck. It's about turning your financial life from fragile to flexible. When you have multiple income streams, you gain the most valuable asset during a recession: patience. Because patience is a luxury that comes from stability. When you know money will keep flowing from somewhere, even if your main job stops, you stop making decisions out of fear. You stop reacting and start strategizing. That's when you gain control. And here's the key. Building income insurance doesn't require massive wealth. It requires consistent effort. You can start small. Maybe it's a side hustle that brings in $200 a month. Maybe it's a few shares of a dividend ETF. Maybe it's renting out a spare room or starting an online course or selling something you're good at. Each small stream may not seem like much, but together they create resilience. Because when one dries up, the others still flow. That's how wealthy people think. They don't rely on one door for income. They build an entire hallway of doors, some open, some closed, but always giving them a way through. Now, here's something most people never realize. Recessions are the best time to build these income streams. When asset prices drop, when businesses are desperate to sell, when everyone else is retreating, that's when the foundations of future wealth are cheapest to build. The rich know this. They're not afraid of recessions because they see them as seasons of expansion, not contraction. So instead of asking, "What if I lose my job?" start asking, "How many streams of income can I build before the next one?" Because the truth is, recessions don't destroy wealth. They redistribute it. And the people who've built income insurance are the ones standing at the receiving end. When the economy shakes, those who rely on one paycheck will feel the earthquake. Those who built multiple streams will simply adjust their sails and move forward. Now let's move into the fourth and fifth principles: the knowledge gap and the patience paradox. These two ideas are the invisible pillars holding up everything the wealthy do differently. Without them, even the best opportunities slip through your fingers. Let's start with the knowledge gap. Most people know how to earn money, maybe even how to save it. But when it comes to growing wealth, Understanding assets, liabilities, cash flow, or market cycles, they're lost. And it's not their fault. Nobody teaches this stuff in school. Most parents don't know it either. So people just copy what everyone else is doing. Work, spend, save a little, hope for the best. During the good times, that ignorance doesn't hurt much. When the economy is booming, everyone looks smart. Even bad investments go up because the tide is lifting all boats. But during a recession, that's when the lack of knowledge becomes dangerous. People can't tell the difference between something that's cheap and something that's worthless. They don't know whether a company's falling stock price means opportunity or disaster. They read headlines instead of balance sheets. They react instead of analyze. The wealthy, on the other hand, have spent years studying how money truly works. They understand business fundamentals, they know how to read financial statements, and they can recognize value hiding beneath fear. When a stock drops 70%, they don't panic. They ask questions. Does this company still have strong cash flow? Is the debt manageable? Are the products still in demand? If the answers are yes, then that 70% drop isn't a red flag. It's a flashing green light. The same goes for real estate. When prices drop, most people freeze. The rich calculate. They look at the numbers, rent prices, property taxes, cash-on-cash returns. If the math works out better than before the crash, they buy, even when everyone else is saying it's too risky. Think of it like being at a car auction. Everyone's selling their cars because they need cash fast. If you know nothing about cars, you'll either buy something shiny and broken or buy nothing at all because you're scared. But if you're a mechanic, if you understand how engines work, what parts matter, you'll spot the real bargains. You'll know which cars are undervalued and which are junk. That's the knowledge gap. And it's not about being a genius. It's about preparation. The wealthy don't wait for recessions to start learning. They study during the calm so they can act during the storm. Every bit of financial literacy compounds, just like money does. The more you learn, the faster you recognize patterns. Because when the panic hits, it's too late to start Googling what P/E ratio means. By then, the deals are already being bought up by those who've done their homework. Now let's talk about the patience paradox. This one flips everything you've been taught about success on its head. We live in a world obsessed with speed, instant results, quick profits, get-rich-quick schemes. Everyone wants the reward now. But here's the paradox. The fastest way to build lasting wealth is to slow down. The rich don't need to make money immediately. That's their secret weapon. They can buy something undervalued during a recession and hold it for 5, 10, even 20 years. They let time do the heavy lifting. Most people can't do that. They have bills, debt, and pressure. Even when they buy good assets, they sell too soon because they need the money or because the short-term volatility scares them. They miss the compounding that turns good investments into great ones. Here's how the patience paradox works. Wealth gives you the freedom to be patient, and patience creates more wealth. It's a cycle that feeds itself. But here's the twist. You don't have to be rich to start it. You just have to think long-term. When you buy during a recession, prices might keep falling for months, even years. That's normal. The impatient panic and sell. The patient buy more. They understand that recessions don't last forever. Economies recover, markets rebound, growth returns. Think about Warren Buffett. In 2008, when the world was collapsing, he invested $5 billion in Goldman Sachs. People said he was crazy. The stock kept falling, but Buffett wasn't playing a short game. He waited, and within a few years, that one move made him over $3 billion in profit, plus dividends. That's patience in action. The lesson here is simple but profound. If you want to build real wealth, stop rushing. Stop chasing every trend, every shortcut, every hot opportunity. Focus on understanding value, buying smart, and waiting long enough for your decisions to mature. Because the truth is, time rewards the patient and punishes the panicked. The longer your time horizon, the less fear controls your choices. And when fear no longer dictates your moves, you start playing the same game the wealthy have been playing all along. Now that we've covered all 5 principles, the crisis discount, liquidity advantage, income insurance, knowledge gap, and patience. Paradox. It's time to put it all together. Because these ideas aren't just about money. They're about how you see money. For most people, money is something scarce, something to protect and cling to because there's never enough. That mindset makes sense if you grew up with financial instability. When you've struggled to make ends meet, your brain learns that losing even a little feels dangerous. But the wealthy operate from an entirely different framework. They see money as abundant, not because they're careless, but because they've built systems that create margin, options, and opportunity. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The system does favor those who already have resources. It's not fair, it's not right, but it's real. Recessions simply make this reality visible. When the economy crashes, the person with cash, knowledge, multiple income streams, and patience will always end up buying from the person without them. That's the transfer of wealth in motion. But here's the hopeful part. You don't have to be born rich to cross over to the other side. You can start building those 5 advantages one by one, even in small ways. Start by learning. Read about money. Understand how markets move, how companies are valued, how compounding works. The knowledge gap shrinks with every page you turn. Then, build your liquidity advantage. Create an emergency fund. Enough cash so you never have to sell good investments at bad prices. Next, build your income insurance. Start small. A side hustle, a digital product, a few dividend-paying stocks. Each extra income stream adds another layer of protection. Then, practice patience. Don't let short-term panic destroy long-term growth. Buy when things are cheap, hold through the noise, and let time multiply your efforts. Because the truth is, wealth is a skill, not a miracle, and skills can be learned. To show you how all this plays out in real life, let me tell you about 2 people, David and Rachel. David works in marketing. He's smart, ambitious, and earns $70,000 a year. In 2019, he's doing well. He saved up $15,000 and decides to invest it all into tech stocks. They're booming. Within months, his portfolio grows to $18,000. He feels unstoppable, maybe even a little invincible. Then, March 2020 hits. The pandemic crashes the market. His $18,000 becomes $10,000 in 2 weeks. Every day feels like a punch to the gut. His friends are panicking too. Everyone's talking about how this could be another Great Depression. David can't sleep. Every time he opens his brokerage app, it hurts. Eventually, he sells everything just to stop the bleeding. He tells himself he's protecting what's left. Months later, the market recovers. By early 2021, the stocks he sold are worth double. If he had held, his portfolio would have grown to over $30,000. But he's sitting on the same $10,000 in cash, scared to re-enter because now everything's too high. David didn't lose because he was stupid. He lost because he didn't have liquidity, knowledge, or patience. He turned a temporary loss into a permanent one. Now let's look at Rachel. Same age, same salary. But she's been preparing differently. She's read about market cycles and understands that downturns are normal. In 2019, she saves $30,000 but invests only half. She keeps the other $15,000 in a high-yield savings account as her liquidity cushion. When the crash hits, her portfolio drops from $15,000 to $9,000. She feels the fear too. She's human. But she doesn't panic. Her emergency fund covers her expenses, her job is secure, and her side business brings in $100 a month. Instead of selling, she takes $2,000 from her savings and buys more stocks at the bottom. Her coworkers think she's lost her mind. By early 2021, her $9,000 rebounds to $15,000, and the extra $2,000 she invested at the bottom is worth nearly $4,000. Her side hustle also grows during the pandemic. Now it brings in $100 monthly. She comes out of the recession wealthier, calmer, and more confident than before. 2 people. Same starting point, completely different outcomes. The difference wasn't luck, it was structure. Rachel had liquidity, income insurance, and patience. David didn't. And that's the whole point. The wealthy don't just survive recessions, they use them. They see what others can't because they've trained themselves to look beyond fear. They understand that chaos and opportunity are the same event, viewed from different mindsets. You can learn to do the same. You can train your brain to see recessions as temporary discounts rather than permanent disasters. The first time it'll feel terrifying, like driving on the highway for the first time. But the more cycles you experience, the calmer you become. Eventually, when the next downturn comes, you'll almost welcome it. Not because you're heartless, but because you've seen the pattern. You know what's coming next. And that's the real mindset of wealth, to stay calm when others panic, to stay patient when others rush, to prepare when others ignore. Because every crash, every crisis, every end-of-the-world headline eventually becomes just another opportunity for those who are ready. So build your foundation now. Your knowledge, your liquidity, your income insurance, your patience. The next recession is coming, maybe next year, maybe in 5. But when it does, the question is simple. Which side of that transfer of wealth will you be on? This is Mike Compound reminding you, don't fear the storm. Learn how to sail in it.